Okay. So recently we had a conversation about the soul as sol and also Luna as maybe the more hidden or obscure aspects of the soul. And I would be very curious to hear more about like the dynamic between both and also the meaning and significance of what is soul, the soul, and also what represents the moon or Luna.
Yeah, the conversation was on the realm of like the archetypes and how it reflects itself in the psyche, in the structure of psyche. Um, Maybe to say in source or in essence that the ontological view is that the way we experience consciousness is in relation to our place in the cosmos, as the universe is a field of awareness, and then in each place it's different. For example, in Earth we have one moon, in Mars there are two moons. So in Mars still both planets are around the same sun, so they are like circling same quality, but the moons are different and different in numbers. So on that level it's like a cosmological hierarchy. Sun is above the planet, which is above the moon, because the moon circling the planet that circles the sun. And sun, the soul, yeah, etymologically comes from the same word as soul. And in the esoterics, there is direct relation in that sense. And a possible way to look at it is that the soul is our solar body, is the one that incarnates to earth into this earthly body. And like Mother Earth, like mother and matter, is also etymologically same root. And this earthly body is kind of like an avatar or a vehicle for the soul. The soul have other planets in this solar system, so it's other worlds where it is embodying in some type of way. The astral, what is called, like it's like what we through dreams connect to, like the soul travels in these worlds. It's like Earth is one of 8 worlds. There are 7 others that the soul is visiting on a regular basis. And then the moon, yeah.
I want to ask a clarifying question. So you say we have the soul, which is the sun, the soul, and it manifests or it expresses itself in like this earthly body, which is the planet, which is the earth, on here, planet Earth, but also in these 7 other realms, realities, whatever word you just used. Worlds you used. Okay. So that's for me very new information, and I would like to hear maybe a little bit more about it before you go into the moon.
Okay. I remember in the time I was very intensely practicing the lucid dreaming, And I remember every night all dreams for like a long period of time. And I could notice there was a pattern of some places that I come back there. And it's not the same dream, but it is the same place, and I continue there. It's like I know other souls, maybe to call it, there, different types of beings, and it's different type of experience. Um, and in a way, from that view, also what we experience as what we call the when we are awake and not dream, like the reality and not imagination, I would suggest that this is actually another dream that we experience. Some dreams, when we experience them, we just can do whatever we want. But some dreams, we are more limited with our abilities. It's like the dream shows us we are incapable. Even though we want something, we cannot achieve it. And in a way, that is very much what distinguishes in our rationale that no, this is reality because I want something, but it's not happening. It's like to a large degree, like I need to work hard and then it kind of happens more towards there. If I would dream alone, everything I want just happen immediately. And again, from an ontological view, that awareness is the substance of real. Like matter is an idea we have. It's not what really exists in itself. Matter or energy. It's just like consciousness is more fundamental. So when two consciousnesses or a group of consciousness together dream a dream together, so this world they dream will be like an average of all the consciousnesses. And what we experience on earth, there are so many souls incarnated here, so the average is very relative to the individual, or like my will, the average would not be so flexible because I'm just one out of billions. So this is about the amount of effect of me on this reality. And that's why, in a way, the greatest power in this reality is control the mind of the mass. Like, people who make the significant decisions in this world are those who are able to manipulate the minds of the mass, because it is the greatest power.
Yes. I'm still, my mind is still like at this point where you were saying that what makes us believe that this dream that we're living here is reality is because it has limitations. Like we are not able to just do everything immediately, or like I'm completely free in our expression or in the possibilities that we think we can like go into. So how does this relate maybe also with like what you just shared about the greatest power is when you can control the dream of the masses, or like the reality of the masses? Like how is this related, and why are there limitations? Like why do we perceive limitations in this reality?
Well, the limitations, as I kind of hinted, is because the reality is an expression of the average of all consciousness's will. So just one out of many will feel limited if not everybody wants exactly what I want. Or majority, critical mass of consciousness. So if my will is very unique, if I want something and nobody else really care about that, it will be hard for me to get it. And therefore also those who know how to influence a lot of minds, they are the ones that their will more will happen in its preciseness, but still it's relative, it's not absolute, because it's still a reality that is an average of everyone. There are kind of that can actually relate back to the sun, what metaphorically can be perceived as the force of light and dark. The force of dark will manipulate the minds of the mass through cultivating, maybe to say, or encouraging or keeping ignorance, like, and that enables more implementation of fear, and like that emotion takes over the clarity of mind, and then it's just easier to navigate people. And there is the other side of influencing through inspiration. This is like the light side, that people follow because the heart kind of calls, or it just so much makes sense as an inspiration. The expression of the soul on earth is often described as threefold. One aspect is consciousness, is like the clarity, is like the reason, it's like the mathematical understanding, or like the logical realizations. That's the aspect of the logos, what in ancient Greek was called. Another aspect, another fold is the love, that it's again something greater than us, that we are part of. The same as the logos is we are part of. It's just like beyond any thought. It's what thought discovers. It's from the perception that we are discovering the mathematical truths rather than inventing. So also with love, it's like we are part of something greater, but it's more our experience, like in our wholeness, is what it's more in the center of our identity rather than in our mind that is subtler, kind of like. And then there is another fold, which is our experience of vitality of life force, the intensity of life. And it's like vitality itself is also kind of an energy that the body can be a conductor of, like a magnet that moves through it a certain intensity of charge, or like it's just like it's more physical, it's actually more measurable with devices. It's the body is conducting of that energy, and it's still not really a separated unit. It's like an electromagnetic field. It's made of little cells, of each one is like a whole electromagnetic field, but they're all fractally connected, holographic fractal. Yeah. No.
I lost a little bit the train of thought where we were onto. Like now you've been talking about this trifold expression of the soul. Before we went from the soul or sun or soul, like how like light and darkness in like the consciousness of the whole planet manifests, and like through inspiration or through manipulation. And I don't even remember where we've been before, but like maybe we can connect the dots a little bit.
Yeah, I'll weave it back.
Yes.
So the trifold, clarity of consciousness, love, and vitality. It's like the three expressions of soul, which is actually three expressions of the same thing, but depends where our perception is. It's the inspiration of light, so it's either through expansion of consciousness of the mass, or through expansion of the heart of the mass, or through vitalizing, like motivation of the mass. Both can be also manipulated on the dark side. So the consciousness, the equivalent would be the ignorance, believing in lies or false information. The expansion of love, so the equivalent would be the fear aspect that is pumped up and encouraged to move the herd. The sheeps kind of navigate easier when they're afraid. And the vitality aspect, so it's actually encouraging numbness. Addiction is a major part of that strategy. Addictions in plural. So these are two aspects of the influence on the mass mind field, what Jung called the collective consciousness, which actually, in a way, it's like the planetary consciousness as an entity that happening through us. And the planet is a part, is like an organ in the solar meta-organism or meta-organism, because also Earth is a meta-organism in that sense. Other planets are like other organs. Now, that is about the sun side. If to go to the moon side, the lower stage in hierarchy, so the moon is a sub-part of Earth in that sense. But it is a sub-part which is kind of like an entity in itself. So, if to parallel it to the psyche, it's like there is a part of us that is doing things that we actually have even decided we don't want to do, or we know it's not good if we do that, but still we do that. It's like lunar, it's like lunatic or lunacracy, like it's it actually, like in full moon, like there are more crimes. It's kind of influencing people also in that aspect. People get more like Luna, it's like crazy. And if to go back again to Jung terminology, the aspect of the collective psyche, the archetype it holds, it's like the shadow aspect. It's the part of consciousness which is not only hidden from the light of awareness of the sun that shines on, because also half of Earth is always in the shadow side, but it's that part which is an entity in itself that can go more into the shadow and fully disappear when there is dark moon, and it can also be fully revealed when there is full moon. It's that cycle in relation between the moon and the sun that we get to discover the densest part, in a way, of our shadow aspect, which became as if kind of like an entity in itself. And if to go for the example on Mars, there will be two entities of such type. For example, in Venus there will be no, because it does not have a moon. So the structure of consciousness is influenced by the cosmological position. And also there is another aspect of how far we are from the sun, like if we're number 3 or 4, that is another some type of influence, but it's still the same sun with the same essence of that specific light, comparing to different suns which shine a different quality of light, which not necessarily will be perceived from Earth in this trifold aspect of like consciousness, love, and vitality. Yeah?
Okay, so the moon represents the more hidden, like shadow, maybe it's an interpretation, but unconscious aspects of our psyche. So I find it very interesting this comparison between like what's happening in the universe, in the solar system, and then also our own psyche, like to bring it together and see the correlations. So the sun is more the outward, outshining expression of our soul, whereas the moon is more the hidden, the unconscious. Can you say it even like that, or would you explain it differently?
Yeah, I would describe it a bit differently. The sun is the source of light. So it's the light of awareness in the psyche aspect, the parallel, the equivalent. It shines on Earth and also other planets, like other fundamental archetypes that construct the soul. For a human, the journey towards realization as soul, the consciousness goes into an integration journey to integrate other aspects. So if I'm a male, I will integrate the feminine aspect as well. I will integrate the father and the lover and the child. I will integrate different aspects, which in a way the other planets will represent, because it's not my actual earthly manifestation, but it is part of the soul. It is part of consciousness. So it's what we experience as I in the most subjective first person, like single, like what Freud originally meant as the ego, originally, not what it is understood today as, or what Jung meant as the self, not the persona. And yeah, that's kind of there is a bit mismatch between those two theories, but the original idea, what we experience ourselves, even when we are dreaming, it's still I. Like that's this I. It's not fully transpersonal, because in a way the sun is revolving around the center of the galaxy. That is like a whole other level in the cosmic hierarchy, which is the absolute I in that sense, that happens through all.
Wow.
Like God in the Spinozian in description of God, or Hegelian even more accurately, that reveals and discover itself through all of us, which is still the same I, the only subject that exists in all existence, and the only thing that exists as well. And everything is its like holographic mirroring, kind of like.
I'm getting a really new perspective on this whole topic. So you're saying there's the center of the universe, which like everything evolved
Of the galaxy.
of the galaxy.
Yeah.
But there's also more galaxies.
Right.
Like because if you say the center of the galaxy is kind of like the God, what you just expressed, then what is even beyond?
Yeah, that's even greater mystery. And yeah, it becomes so abstract. It's I think language is still not evolved enough to go into these subtleties, not refined enough. But yeah, if in a way to say other galaxies, so what is the galaxy revolving around? in so far where cosmology um, uh, how to say theory, or even to say theology, because it's kind of like it's a theory, it's a story. Maybe it's true, maybe not. But as far as we understand in the more Western, modern perspective, so it's like the Big Bang is it's the whole universe, and then it goes to a multiverse possibility of perception, or there are other aspects. It's not fully clear yet. There are suggested theories, but there are less actual data that can determine more what it is. But it's from God, from the absolute subject, that is, or that its self-reflection is the absolute object, which is everything, and which is more Spinozian and refinement to Hegelian view. It's just nothing. In that sense, it's just like, but that nothing, it's like it touches the limit of our brain, and maybe that's why also the science is limited so far. It's like human species can evolve more, and when human species discover that, this is Earth discovering it through us. So like the first astronaut that took a photo of Earth, it's like the the first time Earth did a selfie. It's like it's through us. It's like we are cells in this meta-organism. So it's ongoing process, kind of like Hegel referred to. It's an evolution of consciousness, possibly is eternal even, because the nobility is kind of fundamental quality. Creativity is a natural expression of life. And yet these are so far out, like we still learn to manage Earth. We have still not really settled beyond that, like in solar system, and the jump from solar center to galactic center, it's huge. There are hundreds of billions of suns in the galaxy, in all the stars we see in the night with the eye. All of them are suns in this galaxy, except one, the nearest galaxy we sometimes can see, Andromeda. So, and all the stars we see is just a little part of all that is in this galaxy. So it's like there are many types of souls, maybe to say, in this Godhead of this galaxy, which it's a whole mind-bending thing as well, the fact that as far as best as we understand the galaxy, the very massive black hole in the center, it absorbs light, but interpreting it through Einstein's relativity theory, it absorbs light into it, or because it's so massive that it takes space itself into it. But not only that, it's time also, and time is spiraling into that center. So everything within the gravitational field of this black hole is actually eternally part of it. Because time itself is absorbed. It's like we are now this distance from the center, but we are already also in the center of it. It's the same thing, because time itself already captured in that gravitational loop. So in that sense, from that perspective, everything consciousness becomes aware to is itself. It's all I. Everything possible to be perceived is I.
Because it is at the same time already in the black hole and outside of it. Because in the black hole, time does not exist anymore.
It's not exactly not existing. It's just our perception of time is very specific. It's like linear. How can we imagine more dimensional time? Not space even. Like also, how can we imagine four-dimensional motion of space or more? But how can we imagine more dimensional time? This is mind-bending. That's what I mean. It's still limited in its perception, human consciousness. We are evolving, we are stretching the limits and growing, but it's also to acknowledge where is so far the limit, and the language, which is like the technology of consciousness of how to pass ideas, in that sense is very limited. Mathematics would be more effective at this point to pass some fundamental aspects of these expansions. We still don't have vocabulary to really share experience.
This conversation reminds me of when I was a child and I started to learn about the universe and about everything, and I could really feel how my mind was at one moment. It felt like there's a block, like I can't go further. It's like this limitation in the mind that is like I can't imagine further. It's just so abstract and so out of reach. So this conversation reminds me of it, and also makes me realize and understand like how much we can expand also our perception of reality, because now as an adult it's very different. Obviously I can tune into your words and like feel into like more also what's underneath the words and what's in between the words, and this like expansion of perception of reality. So what I've experienced right now, and I wanted to just bring it down, because I found this concept like for me was very illuminating right now, to see the galaxy as I don't find the right word, maybe all of existence. I don't like the galaxy, like what I want to come to is like the galaxy, what you just said, the center of the galaxy with the black hole as like God, and then all the different billions of suns as different souls, and then each sun having their own solar system and their own like planets that evolve around, and the planets have moons that evolve around, and like the task in a way of the soul to integrate all of these planets and all of these moons, and then at one moment like coming back to the black hole, because like this gravitational pull of the black hole of God, what you called it. So maybe we can like draw the parallels once again, like maybe some more thoughts or sharings from you, like how these two, like how it matches, how this relates to each other.
So because in a way we can add a fractal view on that spectrum of consciousness, both that the solar system is a subpart, is like a cell in the galactic body, and Earth is an organ in the solar body, and the human is again a cell in the earthly body, the planetary body. So there will be an equivalence of a human soul realizing itself as the planetary entity happening through, consciously happening through this human avatar, this cell of its body. It will be kind of an equivalence for Earth realizing itself, or in that sense, solar system, realizing itself as part of the galactic body. It's about same gap. It's like some billions of individuals and or souls, and yeah, if all humanity will, every person will realize itself as soul, and all these souls will know themselves as parts of that same one we all are, that God, how we know it in our human experience on earth, that would be an equivalent of earth aligning itself consciously with the galaxy, with the galactic field of awareness, like in this galactic consciousness, maybe to say. Like if human bodies will know themselves as soul, that is equivalent of earth realizing itself as part of the sun, consciously. And then sun to the galactic, it's like soul know itself as actually God, that happening also through itself. There is something very humbling in that. And within human body also, like every cell in the body is actually an entity in itself, but all cells, and also not human, also other animals, but every cell in a way have the same genetic code, which is like the soul code, that, or like the source code of this avatar, of this avatar in that sense is the cell, which in itself have very specific consciousness, but when it opens to become in the harmony of the whole body, like when it conducts its, in that sense, the electromagnetic field, like the life force field, as part of the whole body, rather than separated and become its own entity that is separated, which is exactly how cancer cells are created. They have their own field that is separated from the wholeness of the body. And if they merge back their field to align with the wholeness, then it stops being cancer cell and comes to be something functional in the body that contributes the wholeness, the whole ecological system, which is the body. In that sense, humans also, it's like humans, I would equivalate somewhat to each person is like a cell in the prefrontal cortex of the planet, because that's the more evolved part that human animal have. And a person that is not knowing itself as part of the wholeness and comes to that in its fullness, in this trifold aspect, like consciously and compassionate, or like with the love field, and also the vitality focus on that rather than to addictive patterns or numbing patterns, then as that human cell have somewhat more towards a cancerous behavior on this planet, or like there is more of a cancerous pathology for the planetary prefrontal cortex. But it's also a perspective that cancer can be, with the change of how the electromagnetic field is conducted, it can reconvert back to be part of the body, rather than it's already a separated entity and it needs to be fought against. It can be converted, like a little bit in religion. But it's the religion which is the planetary consciousness, and not a person creating. Yeah.
Okay, so we have this like from microcosmos to macrocosmos. The cell is part of the human. Human is part of the planetary collective consciousness. Then we have the Earth, which is part of the sun. The sun, part of the part of the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
These are the steps of like the from microcosmos to macrocosmos. I would be curious now to hear a bit like everything that we've talked about. How can we implement this more maybe in our lives?
What comes to my mind, we were focusing mostly on the higher levels of hierarchy from Earth, and we were not focusing on the moon.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, which was the original idea.
Question. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So maybe this is also, I think, the first step, the first practical step. Um, I see there is a lot of spiritual bypass in the sense that there is a taste of something greater, and then it goes straight to the absolute, the most absolute possible. It's kind of like going all the way with Spinoza, but not integrating what Hegel have contributed to the development of.
I would invite you to talk about Spinoza and Hegel maybe in the next video to explain a bit, because I don't have really like a full understanding of both of these philosophies.
Well,
Briefly.
well, it's um, our concept of God. So we can, it's the most absolute infinite of everything, or we can put it in actually more restricted proportions and say, no, what we experience as God is just this planet. That this would be more integration of, yeah, like it is evolving through us, and then put it in proportions, and like there are stages, and it's more acknowledging the limitation of our rational ability. and therefore, like, and also Earth is not yet a whole integrated entity. It have a fractured personality. The persona of Earth in a way is what humanity represent, because also the persona is more a network of nerve connections in the prefrontal cortex. Like it's an abstract concept of who we are, which allow to interact then with other personas, other planets. But first we need to come together to be like who we are actually on that level before we go to finer levels. So for Earth to become completed, for the Earth ego to be completed, it needs to stop being fractured. So there is this civilization and this civilization. It's like there is not unity among humans. And this is still the stage we are at. Like to bypass that and straight to connect to something even beyond would be impractical and blinding to some degree. Like blinding because so much light, but actually makes it even disturbing, because if I'm blind I cannot see the wall or the shit I'm gonna step on. And it's still, to bring it down to earth in a way is literally also acknowledging that it's earth consciousness that try to come to unity, to harmony through all of us, and how we can do that. And it's not only through all of us humans, it's through all life. Human hold a specific aspect. There are other also animals with evolved neocortex, like dolphins in particular, also elephants, which are not getting recognition still. And to see the other as an aspect of me is already, it's like the holographic expression of consciousness, that every person I meet is also part of the fully integrated soul, but not the one that is manifested through that avatar. And to go into the refinement subtleties, not just the archetypal level, but the actual, every single person is an aspect of me. And to find the way to weave it with the conscious understanding and the feeling of love and compassion is the ability that enables it in, like, that's kind of like that mastery, also where it's challenging. And also to keep the balance of the body in any interaction, like the vitality, to put it higher than pleasures that are compromising the health span, maybe to say. And that would be a practical way to put it in proportions of where we are at now in this stage of collective evolution, but to align the self also with the collective and not to do that bypass. And 'cause there is some arrogancy in it. There is a bubble that separates, actually, even though that bubble can have the idea of even more unity with everything, but there is less connection with one another, because it's more here and less here. And the moon.
Wait.
Yeah.
Just to sum it up, maybe, or what I like, this concept I have in my mind right now, where you were talking about the trifold expression of the soul, right? So, which expresses itself in love, consciousness, and vitality. Like to practically focus on these three, like the cultivation of these three. But I'm also thinking about the other side, like the counterpart of like fear, ignorance, and what you said, numbness or addiction. So like to integrate the soul, or to like embody the soul, maybe even, maybe you can use other words.
Embody.
Yeah, embody the soul. Like this could be a potential path, like to focus on the three aspects of the one coin, the side of the coin and the other side of the coin, and integrate these like six aspects, maybe to say like 3 and 3.
It's 3 aspects, but each one have the integration or the opposite of it.
I understand.
Yeah, yeah, but I fully agree with that, how you summarize. Yeah, to focus on also expansion of consciousness, which is both through refining the rationale and also opening to inspiration, to intuitive knowing, but also, yeah, like the love and compassion, also these 2 aspects of the heart. Like love as it's more the inspirational side of the heart that meets, that's perhaps to say the easier, same like inspirational intuition of knowing is easier than refining the rationale, because that might be complex and sophisticated, like same like mathematical complex stuff it needs more effort in a way, less mental laziness. Same with the heart. Compassion needs less emotional laziness. It's like an effort. How can I stay in that love frequency, maybe to say, while meeting someone that is not reflecting love back, but I don't see that love aspect. So it's to do the effort to find even there is actually love. It's the essence of every emotion, and to have that compassion. It's very difficult. I think this is even more difficult than the intellectual. And then there is also the mastery of the habits. Yeah, like so we have habits that can be numbing and addicting. Like numbing, too much focus on comfort zone, and addiction, it's a deflection from what actually is the best thing to do for maintaining the balance of and the even development, like improvement of this vehicle for it to serve in its best way what it is part of. So is to master the habits. This is extremely difficult. It's like a top level discipline, yet not from a rigid place like that, is fully containing every nuance. So there needs to be also enough understanding of how it functions. This.
What comes to my mind right now when I hear you talking is like it's actually like it's the consciousness, it's more the mental, the mind, the heart, like, and then also the body, which is maybe also like related to like vitality, also to sexuality, to like the energy, sexual energy, to be open to it, to like this vital life force. So yeah, I like this. Something just clicked in my mind. It's like the integration of these three aspects of being a human, but also being a soul, in a way.
Yeah, in a way, it very can be equivalated to again Freud's. Because I'm familiar with like the id, and then the ego,
Yes.
and the superego. The superego, it's kind of less accurate in that sense, but the I often call it the subpersonal, the interpersonal, and the transpersonal.
Now my song is coming.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we could go on and on and on and on and on. It was super interesting and inspiring, and I have a lot of new, nice concepts and like ideas in my mind, like how everything relates together. Yeah, is there anything you would like to share before we end?
Yeah, the moon aspect, I think, in another talk then we go to.
Yes. Yes, there we can have more conversations like this.
One sentence. The moon would be most related to the vitality aspect and the density of the shadow aspect. This.
Okay. I'm curious to hear more. Thank you so much.
Thank you also.
Okay. To end it.